21st, Bowling Green, Warren County Planning Commission meeting. Before we get started, we have a new commissioner tonight, and Mr. Moore, if you would swear in Ms. Crystal Blanford.
I will, sir. Thank you. Ms. Blanford, are you prepared to take your oath of office? And if so, would you please stand and raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this Commonwealth, and be faithful and true to the Commonwealth of Kentucky so long as you continue a citizen thereof, and that you will faithfully execute to the best of your ability the office of Planning Commissioner according to law? And do you further solemnly swear that since the adoption of the present Constitution, you, being a citizen of this state, have not fought a duel with a deadly weapon within the state nor out of it, nor have you sent or accepted a challenge to fight a duel with a deadly weapon, nor have you acted as a second in carrying the challenge, nor aided or assisted any person thus offended, so help you God. If so, would you please answer by saying, I do?
I do.
Thank you, Ms. Blanford. Appreciate you agreeing to serve as a commissioner. All right, before we get started tonight, if anybody is here for item number 2, Blue Sky Tires, a cell tire on State Street, it has been withdrawn. And also, if you are here for Luke and Kim Holdings, has filed an application to remove 18 acres on the boundary of Denver Lane, going upside of Walking Stick Trail. That Walking Stick Trail has been withdrawn. So if you're here for those items tonight, they have both been withdrawn. All right. Sydney, if you could call the roll, please.
Blanford. Cassidy.
Yes.
Drain.
Yes.
Gay. Graham.
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes.
Shaw.
Yes.
Starks.
Yes.
Titmore.
Yes.
Vitale.
Yes, sir.
Folker.
Yes.
Chair Warren.
Yes, sir. Commissioners, you have the minutes from our May the 7th meeting in your packets. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we call for a motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Drain.
Yes.
Graham.
Yes.
Ritchie.
Abstain.
Shaw.
Yes.
Starks.
Yes.
Titmore.
Abstain.
Vitale.
Yes, sir.
Folker.
Abstain.
Blanford.
Abstain.
Cassidy.
Abstain.
Chair Warren.
Yes, sir. Commissioners, in your packets were our subdivision site development plans. Are there any questions? All right, hearing none, then they will be approved as sent to you all. Our new business, Megan.
Hi, everybody. I have just a few things to review with you guys tonight. First of all, I want to start with our budget amendment. Everybody should have a copy of the budget in their packet, and we're going to review the yellow column in that first. All the items that we're doing an amendment on this year are MPO and transit related. The main reason that we're doing the amendment is because one of the really large transit projects that we were going to do has been postponed from this year to next fiscal year. This means that the income we thought we were going to receive this year for it and the expense we will not receive, they will go to next year. So you'll notice those are all decreasing. The other reason that we're doing the amendment is when Carol was preparing the MPO budget, he mistakenly included part of the local match as income, which was by mistake. That only applies when we're partnering with the city or the county on a project and they pay the local match. So that was another amendment. So that's all I have on the amendment. Does anybody have any questions before I move on to the next topic? Nope.
Commissioners, any questions? Okay, thank you, Megan.
All right, so the next thing that I want to talk about is our third quarter budget. You'll see I have that highlighted in green on the same budget. We're at 68.6% for our total income and 67.9% for total expenditures. Typically, with this time of year, we would like to be right at 75%, but like I said, we don't have the income or the expense for that really large transit project that we were expecting, so we're right on line, right where we should be. The only other thing that I have to review with you guys is I received an email from our current auditor. They are no longer going to be doing audits, so we're going to need to find a new auditor for this next fiscal year. And they luckily provided us with a few auditors' names. I've reached out to them, but unfortunately, we're probably going to pay a little bit more for our audit this next fiscal year. So anyway, that's all that I've got for you guys. Can I answer any questions?
Any questions for Megan? Thank you. We do need a motion for the budget amendment for this year. So call for a motion, please.
I make a motion that the budget be amended as presented.
Second.
Starks,
Yes.
Titmore,
Yes.
Vitale,
Yes, sir.
Folker,
Yes.
Blanford, Cassada,
Yes.
Drain,
Yes.
Graham,
Yes, sir.
Ritchie,
Yes, sir.
Shaw,
Yes, sir.
Chairward.
Yes, sir. The motion's approved. Commissioners, in your packets, you had we had 3 performance bond releases. You had those in your packets. Are there any questions? It will call for a motion, please.
So moved.
Folker,
Yes.
Blanford,
Yes.
Cassada,
Yes.
Drain,
Yes.
Graham,
Yes.
Ritchie,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Starks,
Yes.
Titmore,
Yes.
Vitale,
Yes, sir.
Chairward.
Yes, sir. Motion's approved. Mr. Moore, we now enter into our public hearing. If you would administer the oath, please, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Warren, I request that you order that the record tonight include all relevant statutory and regulatory provisions, the commission's entire file for each application on tonight's docket, and the qualifications for each staff witness. And finally, I request that you administer the oath to those witnesses.
Do you all swear to tell the truth? Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Any old business? Mr. Peterson? No. We will now enter our public hearing. Our first item tonight is Robert S. Evans has filed an application to close approximately 11.99 square feet of a right-of-way located on Long Avenue, located between 701 and 687 Covington Street, referenced by Plat Book 2, page 144, sections G and I. And Jenny?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Give me just a second to get this set up. Perfect. We are looking at a right-of-way located on Long Avenue between 701 and 687 Covington Street, and here is a reference to that right-of-way closing plat. So looking down, the applicant has filed an application to close approximately 11,998 square feet of right-of-way in that location on Long Avenue. We will look down to middle of the page. The proposal does comply with the required criteria assessed in the review process. However, staff has included a few conditions regarding plat consolidation and easement dedication, and so we will flip over to reference those 2 conditions on page 2. These 2 conditions, these 3 conditions are in direct reference to different utility agencies and any requirements that they may have. And so these conditions read as follows: an easement for any existing sewer line shall be established for the benefit of BGMU. The second is an easement for any existing cable infrastructure shall be established if requested by Spectrum Cable. And the third is that a plat consolidating the closed right-of-way with the adjacent properties must be recorded at the Warren County Courthouse within 120 days of final approval of the right-of-way closure by the Bowling Green City Commission. And so with that, looking back to page 1, staff's recommendation for this right-of-way closing is for approval pending public hearing testimony and discussion here tonight. And that's all that I have, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Jenny. Commissioners, any questions for staff?
Thank you.
All right. Is there anyone in the audience tonight
Chairman,
has?
I have one.
Yes.
And I'm sure the answer to this is yes, but just want to be sure. Is this a permanent closure?
Yes, it would be a permanent closure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Starks. Does anyone in the audience tonight have a question or opposition to this request? All right, hearing none, the commissioners will call for a motion, please.
Make the motion to approve the right-of-way closing docket number 202603 RWC with the conditions as listed in the staff report. My motion is based on the findings of facts presented in the staff report and the testimony presented in this public hearing that the right-of-way closure is in compliance with section 3.16 of Warren County zoning ordinance.
Second.
Folker,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Graham,
Yes, sir.
Shaw,
Yes, sir.
Starks,
Yes.
Vitale,
Yes, sir.
Sherwood.
Yes, sir, the motion is approved, and it's Planning Commission recommendation forward to the Bowling Green City Commission for final approval. Our next item tonight is 2026-02 Flume BG Hogg LLC applicant and Mary Susan Buffkins and Sarah Armstrong owners have filed an application to amendment to .079 acres located at 2404 Small House Road for moderate density residential to commercial. Amy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a pre-application meeting April the 14th for the property that you mentioned and is highlighted in yellow on the screen. Current zoning is HB, which is highway business. Current land use is single-family residential. And the future land use is moderate density residential. Sorry. We do have a couple of property photos. Here, and again, the applicants are proposing to amend the flume from low-density residential to commercial in order to allow for a commercial freestanding sign along Smile House Road. If the application is approved, the applicants would like to later file a development plan application for the same area to allow such signage. And then we have concepts that have been supplied by the applicants for reference. Looking at the bottom of the page, staff found the proposed flume amendment to be in agreement with the majority of the applicable review criteria outlined in LU 114 and generally compatible with the surrounding area. Therefore, staff recommendation is approval pending public hearing, testimony, and discussion of any of the items. That's all we have for staff report. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Amy. Commissioners, any questions on this proposal?
So this is only for the sign?
I'm sorry?
So this is only for the sign?
Only for the sign, correct?
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Amy. Is the applicant here, anything you would like to add?
Chris Davenport, 921 College Street, swear to tell the truth.
Thank you, Chris.
I think I've been here on this application, this project, maybe 3 or 4 times. It's the first time I can say it's Publix. So I don't really have anything to add. This is just to help direct some traffic off a small house without them going out to Campbell Lane. But I'll answer any questions y'all might have.
Commissioners, any questions? All right, thank you,
Thank you.
Chris. Is there anyone in the audience tonight that has a question or opposition to this request? All right, hearing none, commissioners will call for a motion, please.
I make the motion to approve the proposed future land use map amendment, docket number 202602 Flume, based upon the testimony and documents presented in this public hearing. The proposed Flume amendment has met the criteria to amend the flume as outlined in LU-1.1.4 in the comprehensive plan. Further, I request that this motion include the summary of evidence and testimony presented by the witnesses at this public hearing.
Second.
Starks,
Yes.
Tidmore,
Yes.
Vitale,
Yes, sir.
Folker,
Yes.
Blanford,
Yes.
Cassida,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Graham,
Yes, sir.
Ritchie,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes, sir.
Sherwood.
Yes, sir. The motion is approved. It's Planning Commission final action. We're going to switch our agenda up a little bit, commissioners. We're going to go to item number 6. 2026-23 Z County and 2026 V11 McDonald's USA LLC, care of Amy Schweitzer, the applicant, and Carmen Powell, and Kenneth and Carol Baker, and Jeff and Valerie Powell, the owners, have filed an application to zone 2.2 acres located at 5558, 55538, 5488 Scottsville Road from general business and ag to highway business with the general development plan. The applicants also filed a concurrent variance application requesting a variance of 55.9 feet from the required 100-foot setback from any residential district structure or use in drive-through speaker. Ms. Hurt?
Thank you, Chair Warren. We had a pre-application meeting back in February for the properties you just referenced located on Scottsville Road. This is the aerial view of the property, and the current zoning is ag and general business. Current land use is single family, and the future land use map is commercial. And we do have some property photos that we can reference as needed. And we'll get through those, and we'll leave it up on the concept plan. And as you mentioned, the request is to rezone the entire property, or all three properties, to highway business in order to develop the property with a fast food restaurant, which includes a drive-through. There is a concurrent variance application relating to that speaker. In our review of the application, we found that the proposal complies with the majority of the criteria assessed in the review process and found the proposal to be generally compatible with the surrounding area. We do have a few items for your consideration, and those are listed at the bottom of page 1. I'll touch on those. The first on page 2, looking under natural features. Relating to tree preservation, the staff has noted that there are numerous mature trees located on the properties, and that the applicants did not address the preservation of any of the existing mature trees that are located on the property. If you look back at the aerial view, you'll notice that a majority of the existing mature trees interfere with the location of the proposed building, parking, and travelways, and the existing mature trees that are located along the common property line with the adjacent residential parcels are the only ones shown on the site plan to remain. Next, also on page 2, jumping down to surrounding land uses relating to hours of operation. Due to the proximity of the adjacent residential uses, staff suggested that the applicant incorporate a development plan condition to address hours of operation for the proposed use. And for reference, the current development plan conditions for the two properties that are zoned general business limit hours of operation from 6 a.m. to 12 a.m., and this was left unaddressed by the applicant. And then next, I'm going to jump over to page 4. This is in the Scottsville Road corridor study area, and so there were a couple of recommendations from the Scottsville Road corridor study that we wanted to touch on. The first is number 6, again looking on page 4. There's a recommendation that either no parking be allowed in the building setback along Scottsville Road, or to have the parking to the rear of the building as long as the rear is not Scottsville Road. And the concept depicts some parking in front of the building and in the setback along Scottsville Road. The majority is located to the side and behind the front plane of the building, and the proposal therefore does not comply with this recommendation. And then below that, number 7, relating to outdoor storage in proximity to Scottsville Road, there's a recommendation that there be no outdoor storage within a certain distance from Scottsville Road, and the applicants did not commit to the location of any outdoor storage associated with the proposed business, and therefore the application does not comply with that particular recommendation. Those are all of the things we had to point out for your consideration, but with that, the staff's recommendation is for approval, pending public hearing testimony and discussion. Be happy to answer any questions.
All right, we've heard staff's report. Any questions, commissioners, for this before we call the applicant up? Maybe we might have to call staff back up.
So most of the issues are regarding the Scottsville Road corridor.
Yeah, there were a couple of recommendations from that corridor study that were not addressed by the applicant.
And then do I recall correctly, you had something about the drive-through speaker? Is that a separate issue?
That is the variance application. I didn't go into that in detail. Staff felt that the supporting information provided by the applicant basically to help mitigate that request. If you look on page 7, they have committed to installing acoustic barriers and sound absorbing systems to prevent noise from the drive-through speaker. and other restaurant operations from spilling into neighboring parcels. And they also committed to that in their development plan conditions. So we didn't really see any red flags on our end concerning the
So
variance.
primarily those 3 hours of operation, parking, and
And outdoor
parking in
storage.
the front. Yeah, got it. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioners, any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Hurt. We'll probably call you back
Thank
up.
you.
Is the applicant here or their representative? Yes, sir. If you would state your name and address, please, sir.
Matthew Allen, 65 Aberdeen Drive, Glasgow, Kentucky.
All right, Mr. Allen, you swear to tell the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you. So you've heard the 3 issues that staff has brought up that you all didn't address. Can you address those?
Yeah, you'll have to refresh my memory on all 3 of them.
Primarily, it's hours of operation.
Hours of operation were fine. McDonald's is okay with 6 to 12.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good. How about the parking in the front?
Yeah.
You don't really have much there, but the corridor asks for parking to be basically the way you've got it laid out, except for the front.
Well, obviously McDonald's operations prefers to have as much parking as the site would allow. We know it is a recommendation. If it's a requirement, then McDonald's is willing to sacrifice some of those parkings that are in front of the building facade.
Okay.
I tell you what, let's skip to storage.
Do you all have any storage outside?
There is a small storage facility attached to the dumpster enclosure closest to the building. And I don't think they provide a response because the requirement didn't specify a distance. It just said X feet.
Okay. We're gonna let staff help us with that.
Okay.
So typically with previous applications that we've seen in this similar corridor study area, the applicants have just agreed that there would be no storage with a certain, so their storage looks like it's situated back by the dumpster enclosure. I don't know, just guessing that's probably maybe like 150 feet. So typically applicants would say there would be no outdoor storage within 150 feet of Scottsville Road. I'm not sure what that distance is, but it looks like you have no plan on situating any type of storage close to Scottsville Road.
No.
So here's the only danger for us. We approve it. For some reason, McDonald's decides to move somewhere else, and then another applicant comes along, it's already approved, and they put their storage right out in front. So really what we're looking to do is pin this down to the location that you've already indicated. What would be is that depiction of 150 feet pretty accurate in your view?
I was just guessing, but.
Why don't you make it 100 feet?
Yeah, that
And know
don't
when it's
give him-
behind the building.
Yeah, the building's roughly about 95 feet. That drive-through's 30, so it's at least 120.
Yeah, so.
So if we say 100, that gives you enough latitude,
Yeah, okay.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So did you settle on 120?
Let's make it 100. That
100.
gives them enough latitude. We just don't want somebody to move it out front or something like that.
And Mr. Allen, you've heard no parking in the front. Do you agree to that? Mr. Moore is,
If that's the preference, yes.
yes, sir. And what was our other item?
So we got hours of operation,
Yeah,
we've got
hours
the
of operation.
storage, and then the parking.
6 to midnight, right.
Yeah. Mr. Allen, tell us your relationship with McDonald's. I know you said Glasgow, Kentucky.
So I work for STV. We're the civil engineer of record.
Okay,
And I'm told that they have provided a power of attorney.
okay.
to allow
All right.
this.
So he could accept the amendments then?
Yeah, he can buy it.
Yeah, that's what we just need to make sure of. All right. So, Mr. Allen, you've heard the 3 requests for the changes. Mr. Moore, you want to repeat them back to him one more time, just so we're sure?
I have the suggestions about which DPC we use for these, maybe as a part of number 7. All right. And Ms. Allen, do you reiterate, please, your agreement that there will be no parking in front of the building front setback?
Yes.
You agree? And do you, on behalf of McDonald's, make that commitment?
I do.
Secondly, you've heard that there will be no outdoor storage within 100 feet of the right-of-way of Scottsville Road.
Yes,
Do you agree to that provision?
I do.
And secondly, you've agreed to limit the hours of operation to
6 to midnight.
6 to midnight.
6 a.m. to 12 a.m.
I do.
You agree with that?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Allen.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone in the audience tonight that has a question or opposition to this request? Yes, ma'am. If you would come to the microphone, please. If you would state your name and address, please.
Valerie Adams, 302 Atlanta Way.
Ms. Adams, you swear to tell the truth?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So we are the property directly behind where this McDonald's is going to be built, and we have lots of questions. We are very residential, and we are not comfortable with having this kind of business. It's basically in my backyard.
Okay.
We have children, we have animals. That's a lot of traffic in a residential area for us, and we just have a lot of concerns.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. All right. Anyone else that has a question or opposition to this request? All right. Hearing none, commissioners would call for a motion, please.
I make a motion to approve the proposed zoning map amendment together with condition upon the general development plan, docket number 2026-23 Z County. Based upon the testimony and documents presented in the public hearing, the proposed zoning map amendment is consistent with the adopted Focus 2030 comprehensive plan as demonstrated by its compliance with the objectives and action items presented in the staff report. Therefore, the proposed zoning map amendment is in agreement with the adopted comprehensive plan. Further, I request that this motion include the summary of evidence and testimony presented by the witnesses at this public hearing.
Second.
Graham,
Yes, sir.
Shaw,
Yes, sir.
Starks,
Yes.
Vitale,
Yes, sir.
Volker,
Yes.
Drain,
Yes.
Chair Warren.
Yes, sir. The motion is approved. Planning Commission final action in 21 days unless a request is made for the legislative body to hear the item. Planning Commission final action on variances also. Yeah, we need it separate on the variance, excuse me.
I'll get a motion. I make a motion to approve the variance request for the variance presented in the staff report, docket number 2026 V11. The testimony presented in this public hearing has shown that the granting of this variance will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare, will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity, will not cause a hazard or a nuisance to the public, and will not allow an unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulations.
Second.
Drain,
Yes.
Graham,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Starks,
Yes.
Vitale,
Yes, sir.
Volker,
Yes.
Chair Warren.
Yes, and also Planning Commission final action on the variance. Our next item tonight is VAW Holdings LLC, the applicant, and Thomas R. Hunt Investment Properties LLC owner have filed an application to rezone 34.9 acres located on Diller Road, 380 feet east of Station Drive and abutting Mount Forbes Drive to the north from Ag to RS1B Single Family Residential with the General Development Plan. Ms. Hurt, before you go to would you bring back up our there's a lot of people here tonight, so we can explain how this works.
Sure.
So this is a public hearing, and our staff will make a presentation on this recommendation, and the applicants will have 15 minutes to give their presentation regarding this. And if there's someone representing the all the neighbors that are here tonight, if you have an applicant, they will have 15 minutes. And then we will hear individual comments from anybody in the audience tonight. Each person has 3 minutes. And then the applicant and if you all have someone that represents you, they have 3 minutes for a closing argument. So that's how we do this. So we just wanted to let everybody know. Thank you, Ms. Hurt.
No problem.
And also, Commissioners, you have at your desk many comments and questions from the surrounding neighbors.
All right, well, we will get going with the staff report here. We had a pre-application meeting back in January for the property on Dillard Road. It's roughly 380 feet east of Station Drive and abuts Mount Forbes Drive to the north. This is the aerial view. And the current zoning is agriculture. The current use is also agriculture. And the future land use map is low-density residential. We have some property photos, and we can jump back to these if needed. And then I'm going to leave the site plan up as I go through the rest of the staff report. And the applicants have applied to rezone the property to RS1B, single-family residential, in order to develop the property with a maximum of 93 single-family residential lots. In our review of the application, we found that the proposal complies with majority of the criteria assessed in the review process and found that the proposal may be compatible with the surrounding area. We did have a few items for your consideration, and those are listed at the bottom of page 1. The first is on page 2. Looking under prime farmland, we have noted that a significant portion of the property contains a soil type classified as prime farmland. Also on page 2 below that, looking at surrounding density, within 1,000 feet of the property, densities range from 0 to 2.46 dwelling units per acre, with an average density of 0.87 dwelling units per acre. The proposed density is 2.67 dwelling units per acre, and we've just noted that this is more than 1.5 times the recommended density increase that's outlined in HN 1.2. And then we had one final item for your consideration relating to bike ped facilities. But since the staff report was sent to you all, we did receive confirmation from Mr. Davenport. They're prepared to offer an additional development plan condition that states that the developer shall coordinate the location of a mixed-use path connecting the adjoining school with Warren County Public Works Department. So that item is no longer a concern of the staff. But I think that is all I wanted to point out in the staff report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Ms. Hurt, so if you look at the map, there is a connection into the existing subdivision, correct?
Yes.
And explain how that works.
So when a new development comes through the Planning Commission for review, when we get to the subdivision review phase, and we're actually looking at road installation, our subdivision regulations require that a stub street be provided to any adjacent property of 10 acres or more that is undeveloped. And so this property is roughly 34 acres and some change. And so when the Summit was developed, that stub street was put in for the purposes of future interconnectivity with this property.
So why explain for anybody in the audience tonight why we do this as the Planning Commission?
Yes. So another requirement of the subdivision regulations is that any future development that then comes in on this property, for example, would be required to connect to that stub street. And that just, with the interconnectivity, that's less miles traveled on our public streets. If you think about school buses, trash trucks, snow removal, if you had to drive into every subdivision and back out on the main road, that's just not efficient. Also, for the purposes of emergency vehicles, offering more than one way in and out, if the access is, the main entrance is blocked, then there's always another way in through that stub street connection.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
And then the other thing, if you would explain for the folks in the audience tonight, the water why the water retention is the way it is.
Yeah, sure. So this is preliminary, and I'll let the applicant's engineer speak to this later in more detail. But we do have specific requirements when new subdivisions are developed as far as drainage. The drainage of the subdivision, as it's functioning post-development, the developer is not permitted to push a greater amount of water onto neighboring properties than what exists pre-development.
Thank you. Commissioners, any other questions for staff?
So one quick question, just as I look at the map. There's a disparity in density, it looks like a little bit. Is this because some of these are surrounding are on sewer and some of them are not?
Yes, and
Okay.
let me jump back to the zoning map, and that'll kind of give you an idea. So RS1A, that's that light yellow color that's more on the left side of the map, and then the brighter yellow RE, RE would be on septic typically, and then RS1A would be on sewer. And so sometimes we've seen this in other applications where sewer hasn't always been available in the area, and as new developments come in and connect to sewer, the densities may be higher for one subdivision compared to another that might be on septic.
Got it, okay.
And then there are also some agricultural tracts that are in the vicinity too, that are within that 1,000-foot reach, that would also be bringing that overall density down.
Got it, okay, thank you.
Yes, sir?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Graham. Commissioners, any other questions?
I have one. What is the closest neighborhood similar to what is on the agenda tonight and has a higher density than this one? Where would it be?
If we look back on page 2, the ones that are in the vicinity, the most recent neighborhood would be Lexington Station, and that's going to be on the south, right here, where the hand is on the screen. And that's not quite 2.67. The density for Lexington Station is 2.02. So in proximity of this property, that would be the, I guess, the highest density existing.
And then one last question, what are the restrictions of the surrounding neighborhoods?
Yeah, sure. So those are going to be detailed on page 3. So under surrounding architectural features, we pulled the restrictions for the nearby neighborhoods. So the Summit, the minimum home size, it's in 2 sections. One is 2,000 square feet, the other is 2,200 square feet. The restrictions for Claiborne Farms impose a minimum home size of 1,800 square feet. Spindletop is 1,700 square feet, and the Lexington Station is 2,250. And then a majority of homes incorporate at least a 2-car attached garage. And then the materials, if you want me to go through those
Please,
are
yes.
the next one down. So for the Summit, the requirements are at least 85% brick, stone, or modern masonry. Vinyl is permitted in Spindletop and Claiborne Farms. The majority of homes fronting Dillard Road are brick with brick foundations, and a few homes also are comprised of vinyl and concrete siding. Vinyl is limited to soffits and trim, and plain and split face block are prohibited in Lexington Station.
So Spindletop and Claiborne Farms, you could do an all vinyl house?
It permits vinyl, yes. Now, as far as, those are just what the restrictions call for. I'm not speaking to what was
What's
built.
actually built, right?
Yeah.
I got it, thank you.
Rachel, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
The applicant, have they indicated what percentage of homes would be vinyl in this development?
So they didn't set a percentage, but if we look on page, I believe it's number 4. Let me find which one it is. Number 5. So they are requiring that the front facades of all residents have no vinyl with the exception of the eaves or soffit.
Okay. Thank you.
So
Yes, sir.
they would have to do brick or stone or hardy plank or something, a modern masonry material.
On the front,
On the front.
On the front, got it, okay.
yeah. All right. Commissioners, any other questions for Ms. Hurt before the applicant is here? Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
We'll probably call you back up in a minute. Is the applicant here or the representative? Chris?
Chris Davenport, 921 College Street, and I swear to tell the truth. And I'm here on behalf of the applicant. Mr. Zach Williams is here with me. I've probably wasted about 3 minutes of the commission's time because the discussion about vinyl, I'm getting ready to take care of that. So if you'll go to DPC number 5, I would like to strike the word front from front facade, and I believe that will then eliminate vinyl as a facade material with the exception of soffits and eaves.
So Chris, explain that. So are you saying that,
So it's 85% brick with the exception of soffits and eaves? Am I-
So let me pull it. There will be no vinyl except in eaves and soffits.
Okay, so
period.
it's essentially all brick then?
Or hardy board or
Got
that
it.
type of material.
Got it.
okay,
Yeah. So the 85%, the DPC never actually said that. It just said that the front facades will be brick or something. We're getting rid of the word front so that all facades will be
Okay.
brick or masonry
So
product.
front, left side, right side, rear?
Correct. And the reason I've suggested that to my client is when you look at this map and you look at that concept, where are the rear facades going to be facing? Going to be facing all these neighbors that are here tonight. And
Got it.
so in discussing with them, I said, and credit to them, they were amenable to that. Let's just get rid of that.
Got it.
And it's obviously a different product at that point, but they're agreeable to it. And I'll have Mr. Williams say that in a minute.
so we're back to the same
So
85%, just like,
Actually, his is.
it's higher than that.
Yeah,
It's
his-
100%.
His is
100%.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
The way that will read is the facades of the residences shall have no vinyl with the exception of eaves and soffit.
All right.
Neither split face or plain face block, blah, blah, blah.
And in the neighbors, they could have 15% even in like gables and things like
Yeah,
that.
where they're at now.
Right.
And I'll get to that in a minute, and because I'm going to talk a little more than that public sign. I think y'all probably anticipate that. And I was going to kind of compare the materials. Rachel's already basically hit the highlights on that. But let me just kind of get to beyond that, what I want to tell the commission tonight. The first thing I want to point out is the request is flume compliant. Low-density residential would allow a density up to 4.5 units an acre. We're basically right in the midpoint of that, slightly above the midpoint at 2.6. The exterior lots, there's a development condition that requires, and I always go the wrong way. Those lighter blue will require to be RS1A compliant lots. Under your zoning ordinance, that is the largest residential lot on sewer. Full stop. The reason we're asking for RS1B as a zoning is because you got the zone to the most intense use, I guess I would say. The interior lots will be RS1B standards. The second biggest size lot in single-family residential zoning in our zoning ordinance.
So Chris, with this zoning, then they'll be required to do sidewalks and that sort of thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Curb gutter.
Curb
That's all
gutter.
in the subdivision regs, my understanding. And if
Okay.
I'm wrong about that, Rachel's going to speak up really quick. I'm pretty sure. When I looked at this application, and I don't want to miss the point here that next door, under construction, is the school. That's in this lot right here. So that's the lot that this development's going to have a mixed-use path into pedestrian and bicycle for the kids, okay, for folks to get to the school. I looked at some previous applications. I've been involved with four different school zonings and neighborhoods in the last 10 years. I've actually been involved in 3 of them. There have been 4. The oldest one is the Breckenridge development out by Alvaton Elementary. That development's RS1B. The next to come along was the Carter Crossing Cumberland Trace development. I did that. I rezoned that. That has RS1C. The next was the Warren Elementary out along the Natcher. I was involved in that application. That project put RS1D around the school. The densest, the smallest lots. And then most recently and most closest to this application was the Rich Pond Elementary neighborhood in the back, also RS1D. The reason I wanted to point that out to you all is, if you step back and you look at our community, there's definitely been a trend to more dense development. There's no doubt about that. That's been countywide. In large part, it is driven by the sewer, as Ms. Hurd told you. All those schools I mentioned had to be on sewer. With the sewer comes increased development costs, comes smaller lots. And the point I want to make here is, of all the 4 sewer residential lot standards, this development has the 2 least dense classifications proposed. And they're asking for the RS1, the least of all dense classes, to be on the exterior surrounding the current existing subdivisions. That's not by happenstance, it's not by mistake. That's why it's put out that way. The development conditions we always try to address, and basically I've addressed now the unit count, but we also try to address square footage minimums and material minimums. I'm just going to read what the staff put in their report about square footage. Quote, "The applicants agreed to a generally comparable home size minimum in DPC number 2, end quote. That's from page 3. Those are their words, not mine. Ms. Hurd has kind of laid that out a little bit when she talked about the Summit has 2,000 minimums. I think the other development has somewhere around 18 or 1,700. We're at 2,018. 80% or 2,000. 80% or 2,000. Be careful when lawyers do math, but that means at least 75 out of the 93 lots will have to be 2,000 square feet. Where do you put the bigger homes? You put the bigger homes on the bigger lots. The bigger lots are the RS1A lots that are on the exterior of the property. Again, the most consistent with the existing subdivisions. We talk about materials. In the staff's words, the applicants agreed to complementary building materials in DPC number 5, end quote. That's before we took out vinyl. So we've only made that better. And the staff already said that we'd agreed to complementary building materials. When you get down to density, commissioners, Rachel has told you that we cannot comply in this request with the policy set out in HN 1.2. That's the 1.5 increase over the average. And again, you've already discussed this. I'm just going to reiterate. That's because of this development with the sewer. You simply can't, you usually, very rarely, if I had a development around existing septic subdivisions where you can meet that policy. And what I wanted to point out, I pulled back Lexington Station's application from 2022. That is this development right here. That development. 2022, that development was rezoned at a density of 2.02. What were the surrounding densities in 2022 when that was passed? 0.4 to 1.0. That development was approved at something like 3 times the existing average or higher. That's just the fact of the matter. You can't meet that policy when you are surrounded and you have a large number of septic developments or still ag properties, to Ms. Hurt's point, that have yet been developed. I would call your attention in your zoning ordinance to HN4. That's another one of your policies. That's the policy that says we should encourage an array of housing types throughout all areas of the county. That is, to put it another way, that's housing sizes and that's housing densities. Now, I'm not here to say we ought to have a density of 10.0 next to those existing subdivisions. That's not what I'm advocating for. But how can you never increase the density but present an array of housing types? Those two policies are going to be always a little bit in conflict. And that's why y'all are sworn in for your job, is to adjudicate that.
Chris, you got one more minute.
Thank you. I'll end with this. The developer here has been cognizant of the development around them. They've kept the RS1B lots on the inside. The materials are the same or better. Their square footage are the same or better. It's flume compliant. And if you look on that last page of the staff report, There's not a single policy out of compliance here. There are some judgment calls. That's what we've talked about. I think the application should pass. I would welcome any questions y'all might have.
30 seconds of your 1 minute.
Yes, sir.
It says the applicant has agreed to screen any side or rear-facing facades along Dillard Road. Could you talk just a little bit about the landscaping and,
Yes, sir.
okay.
So that will be the standard landscape buffer y'all are accustomed to, 10 feet in width, minimum, a minimum of 6 evergreen trees and 3 deciduous trees per 100 linear feet.
And then Chris, also, any existing trees that can be preserved will be.
Yeah, when you told me I had 30 seconds, I skipped that part. That back property
You
line.
got another 30 seconds.
Yes, sir.
Go.
That back property line of that mature vegetation will not be disturbed. That's another development condition that we've agreed to.
Unless there's some dead trees.
That's right. Dead trees, unhealthy trees can be removed.
Hang on a second. Point to what you're talking about, Chris. There's a fence row? Okay, got it.
I think Ms. Hurt can speak to this, almost, except the frontage on Dillard Road and some of this, that's pretty much throughout the whole exterior of the and the side with the schools.
But y'all are going to leave those trees that are
Within 10 feet of those property
10
lines.
feet.
okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any other questions for Mr. Davenport? Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
So, a lot of folks here tonight, do you all have a spokesperson? Yes, sir. If you would come to the microphone, please, state your name and address, please.
Adam Bowers, 615 Diamond Peak Drive, Bowling Green, Kentucky, and I swear
Mr.
to tell the
Bowers,
truth.
okay, thank you.
I represent the Summit Homeowners Association and their board of directors. I own Soki HOA Management. It's a company which manages the Summit HOA as well as many other single-family home neighborhoods in Warren County. I'm also a resident of the Summit. It would be worth noting the presence of many of the homeowners here this evening who are in opposition to this current proposal. While we welcome the development of this parcel into a subdivision, we have reviewed the proposal and the staff report and wish to call attention to 6 important points, which we submit should warrant either significant changes to the plan or a denial of the proposal by the commission. Point number 1, incompatibility with the existing community density and character. The adjacent established community neighborhoods are low-density, high-end developments with the density averaging about 1 dwelling unit per acre. The proposed development is asking for density up to 2.67 dwelling units per acre, which is more than 2.5 times the current density of the established neighborhoods. This creates a stark contrast that disrupts the established spatial character and visual harmony of the area, undermines the intent of the existing zoning patterns and community expectations, and introduces a development that is fundamentally out of scale with the surrounding neighborhoods. When Lexington Station, which sits south of Dillard across from the school, was originally proposed to this body 5 years ago, there was a lengthy discussion about compatibility. The commission ultimately accepted an amended proposal that reduced that density to 2 dwelling units per acre. That is still double the next closest density within that area. This proposal is for 2.67 dwelling units per acre and would be directly linked to the Summit via Mount Forbes, where the lots average 0.8 acres per lot, many of which are full acre in size. As a reminder, an acre is 43,560 feet. The proposal is for 10 to 12,000 square foot lots. That's 4 times the density of the homes immediately within the Summit. Mount Forbes is currently a stub road which will connect with this new development. At that connection point, the 24-foot wide road has a 50-foot setback with homes in the Summit, and that will flow into a proposed 18-foot wide road with a 25-foot setback on houses, showing a stark difference in the character between the two neighborhoods. We recognize that the commission is tasked with providing a variety of housing stock in the county. With this in mind, we wish to call attention to the newly built and proposed developments to the west of the Summit, neighboring next to Nashville Road, which answers your question from earlier. The Orchard at South Warren and the new apartments being built behind the Publix retail complex are higher density with a mix of single-family homes, twin homes, and apartments. The railroad berm separates our respective neighborhoods, which back up to each other, creating a natural buffer that makes the density and character differences immaterial. But this new proposed development shares more features with the orchard at South Warren, and it would be more fitting to build this style of development on land off of Nashville Road instead of on this particular parcel. Point number 2, density impact on county services and safety. Higher density has implications beyond aesthetics. Regarding traffic and safety, a 2.6 times increase in density will result in more vehicles per acre, increasing traffic volumes on roads. This body frequently hears about this concern with any new development. We must remember that Summit View Elementary School will draw additional traffic into this neighborhood beyond the 93 lots that are proposed. We're aware that Warren County School District has requested a connecting sidewalk for foot traffic to our school. We call it our school because it's in that immediate area. Our HOA has had multiple conversations with the district on this topic since the school was announced, and we support having a sidewalk as far away from Dillard as possible. Even with the sidewalk, with this new development will become a secondary vehicle pickup and drop-off loop, in the same way that Bellhaven Boulevard services Jody Richards Elementary School, by golf cart, bicycle, sedan, or SUV. The current proposal indicates 17 to 18 foot wide streets. Full-size SUVs are 9 feet wide from mirror tip to mirror tip. That leaves 8 to 9 feet for any other traffic on the road. Given the connection between Dillard and Grand Teton, we can envision that this neighborhood would become the shortcut to the backside of the Summit for resident traffic and emergency vehicles. The Summit homeowners know what it looks like because our neighborhood is a pass-through for drivers going to and from Hunter's Crossing neighborhood. In fact, our HOA requested that the county install extra stop signs as a way to keep the pass-through traffic from speeding recklessly through our neighborhood. And it has reduced, but has not eliminated all speeders. As an HOA management company, we anticipate that the covenants will restrict street parking. This is a gray area for enforcement. It is left up to the HOA to manage. I can tell you from years of experience enforcing restrictive covenants in neighborhoods that people will park on the street. Currently, there's no code enforcement mechanism for street parking in the county. We rely on individuals' good natures to follow the codes, but it's never 100%. Street parking creates hazards for foot traffic, bicyclists, and emergency vehicles navigating these narrow streets. With the added foot traffic to the school and the density and increased traffic, does cause real risk to resident safety. Thus, the narrower streets combined with the higher density and increased foot traffic create safety concerns. Point number 3 is the deviation from the construction and quality materials, and we've already had that addressed from Mr. Davenport, and so we're going to skip that section. Number 4, the reduced size of home and values. The reduction in home size and value alignment. In the proposal, homes are to be a minimum of 1,850 square feet. For comparison, Lexington Station, homes must be 2,250 square feet or larger. The 1,850 minimum square feet is 400 square feet smaller than Lexington Station. That's an 18% variation. However, that is 44% smaller than the homes immediately adjacent within the Summit that are on Grand Teton. The average home size on Grand Teton Way within the Summit is 3,300 square feet. The 7 homes on Grand Teton nearest to this parcel range from 2,750 on the small end to 3,642 square feet on the large end. Smaller homes at higher density changes the market position of the neighborhoods and puts downward pressure on surrounding home values while altering the buyer demographic profile. This point was clearly recognized when McClellan Crossings was built next to McClellan Farms. McClellan Crossings was required to create a buffer zone of several homes with a blend of attributes more like McClellan Farms than the standards required for the remainder of McClellan Crossings. The surrounding developments, including the Summit, Spindletop, Claiborne Farms, are clearly designed as larger estate-style homes with lower density, high-value properties. This proposal introduces a different product type entirely, not a continuation of the same development pattern. Point number 5, concern about precedence. The staff report lists the density of this immediate vicinity as ranging from 0 to 2.46 dwelling units per acre. We were unable to find any density higher than 2.02 within 1,000 feet of this proposed development. We don't know if this is a typo or a miscalculation, but what is important to note is that the existing neighborhoods average 0.87 dwelling units per acre. It is as though Lexington Station is being used as the benchmark rather than an exception to the area. The proposed development should be more like a bridge between Lexington Station and the Summit, with density somewhere in the range between 1 and 2 units per acre. And then point number 6, engineering. We trust that with the 35 acres and as it is being developed, that the engineering report will account for the oil and natural gas that was discovered in the area when they built Summit View Elementary School. We also expect that Warren County Public Works will require the adjustment of Dillard Road immediately east of any entrance. That is a blind 35-degree turn, which seems to come to most drivers quite suddenly. Accidents, slide-offs, near misses happen almost daily. And as anyone along that stretch of Dillard Road can attest to, it's not a matter of if, but a matter of when. The 10-foot landscape buffer will help to indicate a turn in the road, but the entrance to this development will be completely hidden if the road remains as it is designed today. This must be a priority before any development is allowed to move forward along this particular stretch of road. In summary, we welcome the development into this area, into the subdivision, in keeping with the existing neighborhoods. But as proposed, it represents a significant departure from the established character, density, construction quality, which is, I believe, will be resolved, and planning standards for the surrounding area. The increased density, inferior construction materials, again, narrower streets, smaller homes collectively create a development that is incompatible with the existing community and raises legitimate concerns around safety, emergency access, and long-term property values. For these reasons, we respectfully request that the Commission move to deny this proposal or require substantial revisions to bring it into alignment with the surrounding established neighborhoods before it can be approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bowers. Well spoken. Thank you very much. And Mr. Bowers brought up many of the issues I'm sure people hear about tonight about safety, traffic, the school, the sidewalk will be provided, pickup from children from school, street parking, that is an ongoing issue in many subdivisions. He brought up about the square footage of the homes that are being proposed. He brought up also the home values of the people that are existing, and the Dillard Road, which we know is a issue. And I don't know, Rachel, is that on that's on the plan, isn't it? Sometime to our future plan road to deal with Dillard Road sometime, Ben?
Wait, can you hear me? Yeah.
We can't promise anything. We're just,
There are improvements planned in conjunction with the school, and there's also in your staff report on page 3, Warren County Public Works did review the proposal, and the applicants have agreed that to the extent required by Warren County Public Works that they will install right and left turn lanes into the development from Dillard Road in the dimensions that are specified by Warren County Public Works. And I also need to state one thing. I'm not sure where the 18-foot road width came from, but the subdivision regulations require for a development of this type a minimum of 24 feet for the road width and sidewalks on both sides of the street, so, which is the same as what's required in the Summit.
Mr. Bowers, hold on just a minute. Anything else, Rachel?
And then on the density, the 2.46 isn't a typo. We did list the densities for what somebody would consider traditional subdivision that are named, like the Summit, Claiborne Farms, Spindletop, Lexington Station. But we also grabbed just within 1,000 feet the density of every property. So that's likely just a property-specific density. Years ago, the old ordinance, you could have septic lots as small as 4/10 of an acre. So that's likely where that higher density is coming from.
Okay. Mr. Bowers, one more thing, and then
Yes.
could we get some people in the audience? Anything else you want to add?
Just clarifying the questions here. So on the staff report on page 19, the question is what is the road width? And it says 17 to 18 feet. And then further down on that same page, surrounding density, the Summit 1.04, Claiborne Farms 0.82, Lexington Station 2.02, Spindletop 1.3, which contradicts another section in here which shows that it's 0.77. So either one of those would be fine. And then just for everyone in the room, so we're all looking at the same 1,000-foot perimeter. 1,000 feet from this development takes you to Pikes Peak, Calumet Way, and Secretariat, and then down into Lexington Station. So that's what 1,000 feet looks like within this radius of this development.
But also, I think they brought up about the sewer and septic
That's right.
prior.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So just to clarify, the 18-foot width is for Dillard Road. That's what's on the plat. It says Dillard Road has pavement width varying from 18 to 20 feet. So that's just the pavement width of the existing road.
So they're not going to put an 18-foot wide street in.
Correct.
Next to a subdivision that's already got a wider street.
If this were to move forward, the subdivision regulations require for the new development that the pavement be a minimum of 24 feet in width.
So if you do the pavement of minimum 24 feet, plus you do a sidewalk, this is going to be wider than what they have.
It would be the same.
It'd be the same?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So two more questions, I took notes of everything that he brought up, and I'm lost on like 3 or 4 topics. One, what's the difference in the building materials? By my math, the building material standards here are higher than what are in all the other neighborhoods.
That's what they just agreed to.
Pardon me?
That's what.
Yeah, it was just facades, and then, like, it hasn't been sworn in yet, but that was the voiced change.
Okay, it was in your closing
That's right.
remarks. And then, where is there a 3,000 square foot restriction? You said that the homes next to it are 3,700 square feet. What subdivision is that?
No, the existing homes that are in that area are as large as 3,600 square feet. The minimum for the Summit in that area would be 2,200 square feet, but that entire road is built out. So that's why I provided those existing home sizes.
So you're saying that they built a larger home?
That's right.
But it wasn't in their, well, it's the same thing could happen in this subdivision, right? They could build a 7,000 square foot home, I guess, if they wanted to,
They
right?
technically could not. I appreciate where you're going with that.
Well, I'm just trying
Yes.
to understand.
Yes.
They could build a 2,500
They could
square
build a
foot.
2,500 square foot home.
Yes,
or a
yes. But they
3,700
couldn't take
square
more
foot.
than 40% of the lot for the building
Right,
and the
right, right.
hard
Yeah,
surfaces.
that was a gross exaggeration, but I'm just
Yes.
trying to understand, you're not saying that the Summit has a building restriction of 3,700 square feet?
That is correct. Our minimum restriction is 2,200 square feet.
Got it. Okay.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bowers. Commissioners, any other questions? And we will ask for folks in the audience. Commissioners, any other questions? So anybody in the audience tonight, this is a public, just a minute, it's a public forum. We've talked about the, just to reiterate so we don't bring it back up, Mr. Bowers did a great job. The traffic, safety, the sidewalk, school pickup, street parking, square footage of the homes compared to Grand Teton Way, home values, that's a subjective matter, and the traffic, the road on Dillard Road. So yes, sir, if you would come to the microphone.
Yes, sir.
Something different.
Yes, sir, totally different.
All right, yes, sir. Your name and address, please, sir.
My name is David Craig. I live at 514 Calumet Court.
All right, Mr. Craig, you swear to tell the truth?
I swear to tell the truth.
Okay.
All right, if you look at their drawing right here that they've got laid out, one of the things they do not address is the natural drainage off of Claiborne Farms. They have storm drains here, here, and here. Claiborne Farms has a sinkhole, comes right out in that field. I call it a sinkhole because everything from Claiborne Farms drains like this. Everything on that existing property that they want to build on drains the same way. It goes right to that hole, which is about a half acre, and water doesn't stay in it. But it all drains to there. There was an engineer out there this spring digging holes, checking things. I had a conversation with him, and he informed me that that would have to be addressed when we had that conversation.
All right, sir.
There's nothing about it here.
All right, Mr. Davenport, I'll call on you in a minute to explain about how the drainage works in just a minute. Thank you, sir.
That's all I've got. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Craig. Anybody else, something different that we have not addressed? Yes, sir. Something different. Anybody wants to come? Yes, sir. Your name and address, please, sir.
Chris Crone, 180 Sweepstakes Court.
Yes, sir, Mr. Crone. And you swear to tell the truth?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Anything else different?
The main thing that I know that, and he did a very good job of addressing, I had a lot of issues, but he was very detailed. The main thing that I'm concerned about is the roadway. When I look at the analysis that the whole group here does, you have a category that says traffic analysis. It's pretty short. It doesn't really address much. It says, Warren County Road Department Public Works has determined that turning lanes may be needed. And in my mind, that's like saying a raincoat may be needed in a hurricane. So, that to me is, I feel like this traffic analysis is not very thorough, and it hasn't addressed the level of traffic that has increased greatly and is going to grow by a factor of, 3, 4, 5, 6 times what it is. So I guess my question is, County Road Department is responsible for changes to that road?
I think we addressed that the developer is going to have a right and left turn lane into.
Yeah, but that doesn't help the overall width of the road and the level of traffic.
So the turn, sorry, I never know if this is on. Excuse me. So when I talked with Josh, who is the Warren County Public Works Director, he was unable to determine exactly what was needed because the school plans, he didn't have in detail as far as turn lanes for the school and the widths and the lengths, and so there was no way at this point in the review process to see how that's all going to tie in if this development were to move forward. So once he had more detail on the improvements that the school is making, then he could better weigh in on what would be needed. That's why he said it
What
may.
would be required for this development?
That's why he was saying that their turn lanes may be needed, because he didn't know specifically how long the school's turn lanes were gonna be. If they extend in front of this property, then they may not need turn lanes because it would have already been factored into the school. But the developer for this project did agree to install turn lanes if after it's reviewed in conjunction with the school plans, they've agreed to do that if the county deems that it's necessary.
Yeah, and that would be up to our county public works, and they've done a great job, sir, to make sure that everything is done right.
So I want to make sure I address his question. I am not a traffic engineer and don't hope to be one, but can you tell me that a traffic engineer is looking at this and will make the judgment on what they need?
Public Works would.
So I'm not a traffic engineer either, and none of our planning commission staff, we're not traffic engineers.
Right.
So we always rely on our sister agency staff. In this case, it's a county road. We rely on our Warren County Public Works Director. That's his area of expertise. And so he's reviewed this, and that's the feedback that
So-
we're provided
So we
with.
would be following their recommendation, whatever that turns out to be, but they would have to comply with it, is that correct?
Yes.
And that's and they are the ones who are charged with, I guess, having the traffic engineers and doing the traffic studies and all that sort of thing.
Yes, that's their role.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Can I finish?
Well, you got about 30 seconds. We get it because we got some other people who want to talk.
Well, there's a whole lot of work that needs to be done, and I think that allowing this to move forward without knowing a clear plan on what the improvements are going to be made on Dillard Road is irresponsible.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so something different, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Doug McKinney, I live at
Okay,
290.
your name again, come up.
Doug McKinney, I live at 290 Sweepstakes Court, Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Mr. McKinney, you swear to tell the truth?
Yes, sir.
All right.
It's in the yellow over here. So, great job for the summit, okay? I live in Spindletop, so I guess what I want to talk about is Spindletop stuff. So, all of our houses over there, at least an acre, at least. So, the density is like crazy compared to what we got over there. So, that's already been talked about, but I'll say Jody Richards School is right down the street. 850 kids are supposed to be able to go to that school, right? The traffic is crazy over there on that side of that area. Does anybody live in the county? You do? If you live in the county over where that is, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. You can't get that way when school's coming or going. So, same thing for this school that's just been put up over there. It's not even active yet. It's going to be the same problem. There's no room for traffic. So it's elementary, so all the parents are going to drop off their kids. That's just what's going to happen. Now they're going to come back and pick them up in the afternoon, right? And then Plano School. Let's talk about that. Same deal.
Sir, this isn't Plano.
I know.
Okay,
but
all right.
We're talking about planning and zoning. Plano's a mess. I was just like looking at WBKO back in May of 2017, had like an article about it. And they're still working on that today to try to fix that problem that was made in 2017. So we need some planning in this zoning.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, anybody else? We've talked about the traffic, we've talked about the schools. We're not trying to cut anybody short, but if somebody has something different, I think we've heard most all of it. Yes, sir, one more thing.
Mark Hines, 291 Sweepstakes Court.
Yes, sir, Mr. Hines.
I swear to tell the truth.
Okay.
So Lexington Station was built, kind of shoved down everybody's throats. I didn't even know about it, and I live on Sweepstakes. I live right there. So you put a sign out on the road. I don't drive that way when I go out, in and out from my home. So I got no notification, and I'm sure a lot of people in this room didn't get notification. So, and then that was approved, not matching the two adjacent neighborhoods. That doesn't make sense. And we're trying to get more development shoved down our throats. Everybody in here bought these homes so they didn't have to live in town. We live in the country, and we bought where we bought because of the farmland around us. That's why we're there.
Okay.
And continued development steals all of that from us.
All right.
So I would say I'd be okay with one house on that property, and that's max.
Okay, so that's not going to happen. All right. Okay. All right, we've heard all about the many items, and thank you all for all being here tonight, and your comments, and Mr. Byers, well spoken. Thank you very much. Commissioners, any questions for this? So we will ask for our applicant to come back up and two-minute summary, and then Mr. Byers gets 2 minutes, and then we will vote on this matter.
If I may, I'd like to swear Mr. Williams in, get him to agree to the DPC regarding the facades.
Mr. Williams?
Zach Williams, 1550 Western Street, I swear to tell the truth.
All right, you've heard the 85%. Oh, go ahead, Ham, excuse me.
Do you agree, if I may, Chair?
Yeah.
Do you agree to amend DPC number 5 to read as follows? The facades of the residences shall have no vinyl with the exception of eaves and soffit. Neither split face nor plain face block shall be utilized as an exposed exterior material. Metal siding shall be prohibited.
Yes.
Do you also agree to coordinate the location of the mixed-use path that adjoins the school property next door with Warren County Schools?
Yes.
Thank you.
Wait a minute, Luke. Hamp's got to get you to agree to this.
Zach, you heard your lawyer read the provisions of DPC
Zach.
number 5 as it pertains to building materials on the exterior. And you understand that none of these structures will have a vinyl exterior, except for soffits and eaves. And you also understand and commit to the construction of the sidewalk to the new county school. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Zach.
I'll try to be brief here. I think I heard essentially 4 concerns or complaints. I'll start with the groundwater. As this body knows, as this development moves forward, there'll be detailed groundwater plans that have to get approved by the county to keep all the water on our property.
Explain that just real quick.
Sure. So at this
For
stage,
all the people in the audience, especially the folks that had a question about the sinkhole.
at this stage, we preliminarily show 2 retention basins. That's because the lay of the land, the engineers say that's probably going to be the best place to put them. Now, we won't know that for sure until they do their full studies, and then they'll determine, is that the best place? Is that where we can control our water? And then number 2, are those areas big enough? Because both those have to be satisfied.
If those areas aren't big enough, then there will be some lots.
They'll lose lots.
They'll lose lots, okay.
Because you can't lose sidewalks and you can't lose streets.
Okay.
So you end up losing lots.
So this is your best case scenario?
Correct.
And so, Chris, why don't you do engineering already?
It's extremely expensive.
Okay, got it.
That's the best.
We won't know until we approve it.
And if you look, this project has 2 applicants. It's got an owner and it's got a vendor on it. So you don't spend that money until you know you've got your zoning permission.
But if this is approved, it can't go past that. It's still got to comply, and it's still got to be inspected.
Correct.
And it's still, all of those things still have to happen. No way to get around it.
That's correct.
So if you lose 5 lots, 6 lots, that's the way it is.
It's the way it is.
Okay.
Sometimes you lose lots just by these street layouts. We try to prevent that because we can do that kind of on the front end. The second thing I heard was connectivity, basically. I'm not exactly sure I understood this argument about people's going to be dropping off kids at school in this new development. I'm not sure how that would affect anybody anyways. But if you look at the map, if you back out, I looked at this and I asked myself rhetorically, why would anybody in this subdivision be driving through the summit to go anywhere? It would take forever to get to the summit. That's not a shortcut. Now, would this subdivision prove a shortcut for people in the summit? Possibly. But that's not onerous to the summit. The second thing I want to point out is they will get the benefit of that mixed-use path. And the third thing I want to point out, we don't have any choice anyways. Non-connectivity is not an option for any of us because of what the subdivision regs say. Next thing I heard was traffic. And I want to add a little bit to this, in a little bit more detail. My understanding with having worked with Warren County Schools in the past is their traffic plan and their traffic improvement have to get approved by the State Board of Education. It's even beyond what we do here. And the reason why Mr. Moore can't say definitively whether we need to add to their improvements is they don't know what their improvements are going to be yet. So once the Board of Education at the state level dictates that, and those things come to Josh Moore at the county, they will then tell us what more is needed. We've already agreed to do with whatever they ask.
So once again, Chris, I just want to make sure, no way around it. They have to, even if it's approved tonight, they still have to comply with those traffic standards, correct?
When this is all, when the school work is done and Mr. Moore thinks that a longer turn lane is needed left or right, we'll have to do it.
All right. All right. Chris, you got about 30 seconds.
Listen, I've been doing this for almost 20 years, and for 20 years, so I've been hearing that property values are going to go down. I haven't seen that happen yet, number one. Number two, as I've told this board recently, just because a car lot's got a Malibu on the lot doesn't mean the Corvette's going to be sold cheaper. I'm not suggesting, I'm not trying to denigrate a Malibu versus a Corvette, and I'm not even trying to say we are a Malibu versus a Corvette. But that doesn't, just because you've got a 4,000 square foot home doesn't mean it's worth less because a subdivision across the street's 2,500 square foot.
All right, Chris.
So, thank
All
y'all.
right.
And the last thing I'll say on that, I always hesitate to talk about that because the zoning ordinance doesn't. And
All right.
y'all know that.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank y'all.
Mr. Bowers, you've got 3 minutes.
All right, thank you very much for considering this proposal tonight. And I want to reiterate just a couple of things. One, nobody's opposed to having it, well, there might be a few people that are opposed to actually having a subdivision built in this space. The biggest concern is the compatibility, the great disparity between what is being proposed and what already exists, even within the spaces that were built with sewer in mind. This is meant to be an estate area of the community. And as I mentioned before, you know, because of where it's at, this is the middle of the donut. And the middle of the donut, we're not looking for something drastically different in the middle from what completely surrounds it. And so if we were to do the math, just quick math, we're talking about 35 acres. 35 acres at a density of 2 units per acre is 23 fewer lots than what's being proposed. And so that would be 70 lots as opposed to 93. I recognize that I'm not the developer. I don't know all the costs that go into the sewer and all the expenses that were presented with that earlier today. But our main concern is the great incongruity between the two neighborhoods, the one that exists and the one that is being proposed.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Bowers.
You did a great job, by the way.
All right. All right. Commissioners, before we vote, are there any questions of staff? All right. Hearing none, commissioners would call for a motion, please.
I make a motion to approve the proposed zoning map amendment together with condition upon the general development plan, docket number 2026-21Z County, based upon the testimony and documents presented in the public hearing. The proposed zoning map amendment is consistent with the adopted Focus 2030 comprehensive plan as demonstrated by its compliance with the objectives and action items presented in the staff report. Therefore, the proposed zoning map amendment is in agreement with the adopted comprehensive plan. Further, I request that this motion include a summary of evidence and testimony presented by the witnesses at this public hearing.
Second.
Graham,
Yes, sir.
Shaw,
Yes, sir.
Starks,
Yes.
Vitale,
Yes, sir.
Volker. Oh, sorry. Drain, Drain.
Yes.
Chair Warren.
Yes, sir. The motion is approved and is planning commission final action in 21 days unless a request is made for the legislative body to hear the item. That is our last item for tonight. We have any other new business tonight? And then commissioners, our June the 4th, we have no items. So we will not be meeting June the 4th, and so that would be June 18th. All right, 3 items for the 18th. Thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you to our new commissioner, and hope you come back next time. Don't fight a duel.
That dual thing gets a lot of them. You've passed a big hurdle already.